Emily, what do we know?
So we know that this was a major ruling, and we're still waiting for details on exactly how big it is going to be. We know that this is certainly going to have an impact on what President Biden can do in actually getting his climate agenda done. This is over concerns on whether the EPA can regulate emissions from power plants. And the question is exactly how far the Supreme Court is going to wind up going today. I mean, they could go to the point where this is going to not only impact the EPA, but numerous federal agencies and really put limits on what a president's going to be able to get done.
So, Emily, to dig into the reading here, so the Supreme Court is curbing the EPA's climate authority. It says that the EPA cannot seek a shift to cleaner sources of power. And this really goes to the legality of what the Clean Air Act can really do. Does it regulate within your fence and what your emissions are, or can it regulate what kind of energy you have to use? And it appears that this potential decision is weighing against doing anything outside your fence.
And that is really going to limit what the Biden administration is going to be able to do. We've already seen their climate agenda stumble in getting through Congress. It's not clear that Democrats are going to be able to move anything, and certainly not clear they're going to be able to do so after the November elections, which is supposed to be in the favor of Republicans. And so this could make it very, very difficult for Biden to move forward with his climate goals. And it could really impact how the U.S. and to a certain extent how the U.S.'s allies see the U.S. in approaching climate.
Well, let's just talk about that. We were in Glasgow not that long ago. The US was there. It was setting some pretty ambitious targets. Where does the rest of the world now go if the United States cannot follow?
Well, one of the things that President Biden wanted to do when he got into office was to kind of bring the U.S. back as a leader on climate in the world stage. And so you saw him re-engage with the Paris Accords, begin to talk about climate. But if he doesn't have a Congress that's behind him on this, and he no longer has the ability to do some of these major and significant regulations through the EPA, that's really going to limit what the U.S. is able to do. And in which case, allies might look at the U.S. and say, well, if they're not going to commit to sort of some of these higher goals that were planned, why should we follow along with them?